Time to talk a little Texas A&M football, and joining us on Houston Sports Talk is AggieYell.com reporter Courtney Roland. Aggie Yell, part of the Rivals Network, and Courtney's been covering Aggie football for the last few years, and I know you just returned from a nice trip to Columbia, South Carolina. Great to have you with us, and what a great way to start the season. Before we get to the win Thursday night, though, I know Aggie fans are seeing all these SEC stadiums and atmospheres for the first time. What was Gamecock Country like, and what did the fans that you talked to think about their first trip there?
I guess I didn't expect everything that it was. When you look at the South Carolina home game record, they had an 18 home game winning streak. And so for A&M to go in there and end that was pretty something special. But you knew with Coach Spurrier's record there, their home game record there, the winning streak that they had going on there, that obviously that home stadium was something special. I just had no idea. I'd been warned before what Alabama was like. I'd been warned before what Auburn was like and what Ole Miss was like and what LSU was like. But I hadn't really had an idea about what South Carolina was like because, I mean, obviously it's a cross-division game and they don't typically play, and it's their first time that they have ever played. So we didn't have much of a warning on what it was going to be like besides the statistics that said that they were obviously good at home. It was interesting because the night before, A&M always does midnight yell practice. It's kind of almost like a pep rally. It's a ritual that they do. Is one of their long-standing pregame rituals, and night before, every time at midnight, home game or away, A&M fans gather and the yell leaders lead them through a series of yells. It's the first time that I ever really saw fans show up and try and, I guess, outcry Texas A&M. South Carolina fans came to the State House. I can understand they weren't very happy. A&M was on the steps of their State House, so I could see how they were a little bit upset about that. But for a Wednesday night, midnight, but there was a great showing there. I was surprised. I came walking up and I could hear the cries from almost, a couple blocks away for sure. It was very, very loud. I was really impressed with the amount of A&M fans that made the trip. There were quite a few. And A&M fans definitely showed up, and they've been known to travel well. They certainly did. That atmosphere, I'm telling you what, leading up into that game when both teams are running onto the field, it was incredible. I was just excited. It really felt like the start of college football. So I think that they hit a home run with starting it off with Texas A&M and South Carolina on a Thursday night primetime game like that, because it definitely got everybody pumped up.
Well, let's talk about the game. 9th-ranked Gamecocks, they take them down. So we got to start talking about the guy everybody's talking about right now, Kenny Hill. It's amazing, Courtney, because less than 2 weeks ago, Coach Sumlin said the battle for the starting QB job was virtually dead even. And from what you've seen over the last few months, how surprised were you to see this kind of performance in that type of an environment?
He did say it was pretty much dead even up until until they had to make a decision. And Coach Sumlin is notorious from the Houston reporters who covered Sumlin back at Houston. It was always 2 weeks before, and that's how it was with Johnny Manziel, and that's how it was back when they had Case Keenum back at Houston. It was always 2 weeks before. Then he would name a starting quarterback. That was he said from the very get-go it'd be the September or August 16th. That's when he named the starting quarterback. And up until that moment, Coach Sumlin always likes to play some games with the media just because he always says we were wrong. And during the Johnny Manziel and Jamil Showers quarterback battle, because everyone dubs Jamil Showers the starting quarterback, and lo and behold, there's Johnny Manziel, and he's the starting quarterback. And then, we all know the story from there. So he'd like to kind of trick us a little bit. There'd be times when the media could observe parts of practice, and Coach Sumlin would run Kyle Allen with the ones. And then we come out the next day and Coach Sumlin would run Kenny Hill with the ones. But he did also say that Kyle Allen was preparing with the ones just in case there was subpar play, in case there was an injury, that he was playing as if he was going to be playing with the ones. So they had Kyle Allen preparing not as scout team or not on the practice squad or anything like that he was preparing with the ones just in case, because those are your two quarterbacks right there. So if one were to get hurt, it was either one of those two. I don't think anyone actually expected the numbers that Kenny Hill put out there. The majority of the media, the nation, all doubted that, A&M could produce the numbers that Johnny Manziel had when he was leading this Texas A&M offense. And I had said that, because Johnny Manziel was the leading rusher for Texas A&M. So now their three running backs who are all so amazingly good are going to have a chance to get the ball in their hands. So really, it wasn't a matter of can can they produce the numbers that they once did is who all can get touches on the ball and who all can help contribute to those numbers that they once did, because they still have such a huge stable of powerful, offensive linemen and running backs, wide receivers. The talent is all there. It's just a matter of getting the ball distributed, and Coach Spavital developed a great game plan in order to get that ball distributed and get the ball to, they started off with, using the running backs, helping Kenny Hill get into the swing of things, using Brandon Williams at running back, getting him in the groove, and they have all the talent around him in order to get him in the groove, that it wasn't a matter of can they produce the numbers, it's can they get the ball distributed so that the numbers can be produced by a large variety of the offense.
Well, does it feel like the team's expectations have changed after Kenny Hill's performance? How many wins are you expecting, and can they compete for an SEC West title?
I think the expectations, no doubt, have changed. I think that they came in the way that they played South Carolina, and then the way college football kind of shaked out over the weekend. I'm pretty sure everyone was biting their nails for the Alabama game. Pretty sure everyone was biting their nails with the LSU game. You just look at all the close games throughout the weekend, and A&M just came in and stomped on South Carolina, a team that was expected to win the East. And I think that they definitely changed a lot of people's minds about how they're going to do this year. I think people said that maybe they would come into this year as a rebuilding year. And now I think that maybe people are kind of changing that rebuilding year to a, competing for an SEC title, like you had said, or just really coming in and showing that they mean business. It always happens this way. You look back in the past, A&M gets ranked in the top 10, or the spotlight is on them, and then they come out and have either a subpar year, or they don't fit, they don't complete the expectations that were placed upon them. But if the nation all says that, poor A&M, they're not going to do well with a starting quarterback like Johnny Manziel, they come out and show everybody wrong. Just like this year, what is A&M going to do without Johnny Manziel? They're going to have a rebuilding year. They come out and show everybody wrong. It's kind of been the way things go around there. Give them a reason to put a chip on their shoulder, and they'll come out and use it against you, kind of thing. I never did give a win-loss, my prediction of the game over the weekend. I never did say how many wins A&M would have this year or losses that they would have this year. But I did say, I think that people's expectations will be a little bit surprised. People will be a little bit more surprised because of what Jake Spavital can do, because of all the talent on offense, and because of the defensive depth that they have this year. I think people would be surprised, and they definitely were. I haven't said any numbers about win-losses, but I definitely think that competing for an SEC title is not out of the question after what we saw on Thursday night.
Well, last thing I wanted to ask you about, you've watched what happened over the last couple of years with the arrival of Sumlin and Johnny Football. Describe for us the difference in the atmosphere at College Station from a fan's perspective. How was it different, and what was different about just covering the team over the last couple of years?
Oh my gosh, it has been, I've covered Texas A&M football for 6 years now. And to see the transition, Coach Mike Sherman was a great coach. He had a great offensive mind. He knew how to recruit talent. He got guys in there like Matt Davis. He knew how to scout offensive linemen. He was very much more relaxed. I remember practices, media could stay the entire time. Things changed definitely with Coach Kevin Sumlin coming in. Media could only watch a little bit of practice. In came all of the music at practice, and you see that happening at a lot of different places now. I know the Texans, for example, you're used to that now with Texans blaring music at practice. Just the hype of going to the SEC. Then Johnny Manziel was just, there will be no one like him in college football. I think that he is definitely one of the most popular players who have ever played the game, and will probably always be, just because of everything that he was able to accomplish on the field and the way that he represented himself off the field, and never really changed who he was. A&M football has changed dramatically. The tailgating, the pregame, the preparation, the people getting on websites like Aggie Yell just to see what all is going on with recruiting. People want to know, and they want to know all year long. And then on top of that, with Johnny Manziel not even there anymore, I can guarantee you that it will be a sold-out game against Lamar this Saturday, just because of the hype that A&M brings to the football game, and then everything that they were able to do in South Carolina. A game like Lamar would usually probably not be sold out anywhere else, but at A&M you will probably have, it will seem like the game of the century, because it is the first home game of the college football season. Everybody wants to be a part of it.
Well, that's AggieYell.com reporter Courtney Roland. You can check out her work on the website. That's at AggieYell.com, of course, and to follow her on Twitter at Courtney Rivals. Pleasure to have you with us, Courtney. It should be a lot of fun again at Texas A&M. No Johnny football, but who cares?
I know Kenny Hill. They dubbed him the King of the Hill. So we'll see how that name goes.
Yeah, I was wondering if they'd come up with a new nickname. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You can listen to more of our interviews and podcast on HoustonSportsTalk.net. Subscribe to Houston Sports Talk for free on iTunes or on the Stitcher app.